In order for public access stations to take full advantage of the incredible potential that these trends represent, there are a few steps that we need to take right away. First, all content must be made digital. Digital broadcast servers are cheaper and easier to automate, removing your need for a programming director to load tapes, and making it possible to exchange shows via the web. 2. Creative Commons. Traditional copyright has no place in public access programming. The work produced in public access is non-commercial, aimed at spreading alternative perspectives as widely as possible, and copyright only gets in the way of that. Creative Commons allows us to get the message out while still protecting producers from being taken advantage of by commercial interests. 3. Everything needs to be web accessible. Once our public access stations are online, a whole new world is open that lets us put the power of the media in the hands of the people. 4. Rating and categorization. We need to let viewers watch, rate, tag, and categorize content on the web. A small group of pioneers in public access have already invested thousands of hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the development of free, open-source, web-based tools to manage every aspect of this process. But there's one last hurdle, and it's one that isn't so easily passed. Remember this map? Over 90% of individuals living in wealthy neighborhoods and communities in the US have access to the internet. But in poorer communities, that percentage drops to just over 50%, a rift referred to as the digital divide. Remember that access stations are in the business of providing technical equipment and skills to communities who have traditionally lacked those resources. The line between the media and the internet blurs more every day. And today, bringing the power of the media to your community means more than teaching them how to use a camera. It means computer literacy. So, the fifth component, closing the digital divide. Computer and internet access and education must be at the forefront of the mission of every public access station. Denver's new public access TV station, Denver Open Media, is among the first public access stations to embrace this new model wholeheartedly. In 2005, Denver City Council shut down the city's old public access station and issued a request for a new vision for public access that could succeed without the general operating support they had once provided. Deproduction, a local nonprofit media production and education organization, responded, and in December of 2006, Denver Open Media flipped the switch on this revolutionary new model for public access TV.
A lot of the government funding and public funding for public access is definitely disappearing. So we had to find ways to kind of leverage a really small amount of money, a small staff, and a small amount of capital equipment to have the greatest impact possible on Denver and on the country. So the model we're trying to emulate is companies like Wikipedia that just have 5 staff members and yet have an encyclopedia that's more popular and more used than Encyclopedia Britannica or Microsoft Encarta. Small staff that's just focused on setting up the tools and the resources that the public needs to do what the public wants to do, so the company kind of just gets out of the way. That's what we're doing here. It's not the organization, spewing their rhetoric to the people. It's an organization that's just facilitating people communicating with each other, because that's what the people want, that's what the market wants.
I think Denver Open Media's model fosters a greater sense of community because it is user-driven. Community members are going to come in here and really have to rely on one another. They're going to have to help each other, and that in itself will just foster a greater sense of community and ownership.
The mission of Deproduction, the organization behind Denver Open Media, is to put the power of the media into the hands of the people. With these new automated systems that we've developed through our website, we're really hoping to make that a reality. We really want producers to be driving the station, and hopefully through that model we'll get a lot more participation. We want people excited, we want people to take ownership, to really feel like they own the station.
So the automated user model, or the automated programming model, there's 2 purposes for it. There's the kind of sexy purpose, which is like to get the users and the community involved with getting their media on the air. They become a part of the process. The more practical reason is that it eliminates the need for human resources to operate the station. So by having users ingest their own content, that eliminates the need for people to fill those roles.
The website's also offering a few more traditional services. We allow you to register for classes online. You can sign up for and reserve equipment and the studios here at the station. In the future, we're going to actually allow producers to ingest content from home.
There's a real push to use the latest technology and to use open source technology. And so what we create here can be used at some other station, at some other level, you know, anywhere.
So in developing all the tools and the model that we need to make the station work on the limited resources that we have, we were working with a few of the leading public access stations in the country. Together we've invested over $100,000 in building this tool set that will allow any public access station to adopt the pieces that they want, include them in their model, and start collaborating with us and the other public access stations so that we can start acting like a large network of stations instead of like tiny, independent, isolated stations.
There's so many disenfranchised groups, and usually these people don't get heard from. They don't have any way of getting their voice out there and getting their opinions out there. And what's exciting to me about this is that they can do that. They can come in here and for, you know, very little cost, they can get the training and the tools to be able to have a voice in media.
It feels incredible to me to walk into this space every day and have two huge studios and green screens and lights and cameras, and it shocks me every day I come in here what we have to offer.
We want everyone in the community to have a voice in media, but we want it to be as eloquent a voice as possible. So we train people to be able to make the most high quality video they can make. We offer classes in film production, classes in studio production, and classes in editing. People learn how to use a camera. They learn basic lighting setup, audio setup, and cinematography, so they can make their own shows and make their own shows better. Once they're certified in this equipment, members have access to all the equipment that we have here.
Public access in general is just really exciting because it's basically the last place left in this country that is truly going for your First Amendment rights. The government at the federal, state, and local levels are being put in a position by the big telecommunications companies to basically end the funding for public access. So my number one hope right now is that it continues to be more and more and more entrenched in the community so that, you know, if that ever did happen, the community just wouldn't let it go away.
What I look forward to happening in the next year is more people realizing that they have access to this equipment and these resources. I think once everybody is allowed to have an equal voice in media, I think to me that's revolutionary.